Estuarine Ecosystem Field Trip 2020 by Matthew Poyastro. I'm going to begin today by discussing the type of mangroves. So there's three types of mangroves. There are red mangroves, black mangroves, and white mangroves. Red mangroves grow at the end of the land into the water, and they have red roots that help them stand in the water and mud. Black mangroves grow on land in muddy, wet areas and have air roots that allow it to breathe in soils that don't have much air. And white mangroves typically grow on dry but salty land. Salt is sent out of the plant through the leaves, giving the underside of the leaves a white color. So here's an image of the three types of mangroves. White mangroves, as you can see, grow more on land, away from water. And then we have black mangroves. They grow closer and more in water. Their roots go into the water. They have these features right here. This is what allows them to breathe and get air through the soil. And these are the red mangroves, which are more prominent in areas of shallow water. These are their prop roots, which are typically red in color. Alright, so now we're going to begin discussing red mangroves. Red mangroves get their names from the bright red color of the wood underneath the tree bark. The prop roots that are shown in the image right here help prevent this aquatic tree from being knocked over by the current or tide. Mangroves are particularly significant because, as they are found at the water's edge, their submerged roots provide a nursery and habitat to fish and crustaceans. The tangles of prop roots along the coast trap sediment that move with the tide, which gradually builds up soil around the plants. Red mangroves are particularly significant because, as they are found at the water's edge, their submerged roots provide a nursery habitat to fish and crustaceans, like I just mentioned. Mangrove waters contain crabs, jellyfish, and juvenile snappers. Also jacks, red drum, sea trout, tarpon, sea bass, snook, and other small sharks and barracudas. Their root system provides food and habitat for approximately 70% of the area's sea creatures. They also provide a habitat for a number of mammals, birds, and reptiles, including species like American crocodiles, Florida panthers, and West Indian manatees. Black mangroves. These mangroves grow in very wet soil that is not heavily oxygenated, which is why their roots grow straight up in the air, like this image. These roots are called pneumatophores, and they look like tiny snorkels that help with gas exchange, and they're one of the differentiators between black mangroves. So once you see these, it's a good indicator that you're looking at a black mangrove. Black mangrove seeds do not grow in the water, so black mangroves are usually found higher up the shore than red mangroves. They contribute to the ecological community by trapping in the root system debris brought in by tides. They serve as feeding, breeding, and nursery grounds for a great variety of fish, shellfish, birds, and other wild fish, just like the red mangrove. Now we're going to begin discussing white mangroves, which are more prominent on land, like this image. They also look similar to black and red mangroves. So white mangroves, like I said, grow higher on land than any other mangrove. They have no visible aerial roots, unlike the black mangrove, which have those tubes that are sticking out of the ground, the pneumatophores. And red mangroves have the prop roots. When it is found in oxygen-depleted sediments or flooded for extended periods of time, it often develops peg roots. The light yellow-green leaves are broad and flat with two glands located at the base of the leaf where the stem originates. These glands are called nectaries. Give me a moment. Got pause right here. About that, my computer server was acting a little slow. Now to continue where I left off. After white mangroves. Alright, so now we're going to talk about other native species that the mangrove creates a habitat for. So there's three. We're going to discuss the mangrove snail, the buttonwood tree, and seagrass. The buttonwood is typically found in the upland transitional zone. The buttonwood is often associated with the mangrove communities because they grow in the same areas that the mangroves do. The soil where the plant grows is very salty because the plant grows near the coast. Wood for buttonwoods have often been used to make charcoal in the past. Seagrass. Seagrass are very important ecosystems and habitats surrounding mangroves. They provide food, habitat, and nursery areas for numerous vertebrate and invertebrate species. They stabilize the sea bottom, providing food and habitat for other marine organisms, and important food sources for animal grazers, including manatees and green sea turtles. And aquatic birds are found in seagrass. The mangrove snail. Leaves that fall in the water and are broken provide snails and other life forms with nutrients. The snails also graze on algae growing on mangroves, trees, and on the ground. When the tides are at their highest each month, they stay at the highest perch and don't drop down at low tide. So in other words, mangrove trees are extremely important because they're almost their main habitat for these mangrove snails. They rely on the roots and all the other aspects of the mangrove. Now to discuss ways mangrove forests have changed from the time of the Calusa. There's three huge changes that we have seen. One, temperatures are rising and water levels are rising, having a direct effect on mangrove forests. A lot of mangrove forests, as you can see in this image, are being deforested, taken down, and used for lumber. Another change that we've seen is some saltwater bodies of water have now converted to freshwater. And a third change would be human destruction, which has been the main reason for the decrease in mangroves. Three things that I've learned were Southwest Florida's islands contain the most concentrated area of mangroves. I thought that was very interesting. I had no clue, honestly, before starting this field trip. Another thing I found interesting was that black mangrove roots are called pneumatophores and look like tiny snorkels that help with gas exchange. And lastly, the red mangrove root system provides food and habitat for approximately 70% of animal creatures.